Now, look what Paul says about his fellow Israelites in verse 2. He says, "For I bear them witness." Again, Paul's an Israelite himself. "For I bear them witness. They have a zeal for God, but it's not according to knowledge." Paul says, I can testify, I bear them witness. They have a zeal for God. Now, this word zeal, it literally, it comes from the root word that means to boil, like boiling water, or to be hot, right? So to be zealous is to be fervent, to be passionate, to be even militant or fanatic. And Paul says, I can bear witness to their zeal for God. You know, zeal for God is a good thing. Zeal for God is a good thing. In the Old Testament, in Numbers chapter 25, verse 11, the Lord commended Phinehas for his zeal, saying of Phinehas, he was zealous with my zeal. God has zeal. And he commends Phinehas for being zealous with the same kind of zeal that God has. And if you remember the story of Phinehas, Phinehas stood against immorality in the congregation of Israel. When no one else would do anything about the immorality that was in the congregation, Phinehas took action. And Phinehas dealt with the immorality that was in the nation. And that's a good kind of zeal. That's a commendable kind of zeal. Zeal can be a good thing. Jesus had zeal. Jesus had zeal for God. Jesus cleansed the temple because he was zealous for God, and he was zealous for God's house. And he said that my Father's house should be a house of prayer, and you've turned it into a den of thieves. And he went in there with a whip, and he started flipping over tables and chasing out the money changers and those who bought and sold things in the temple. He was zealous. In one of the Gospels, it says that he even stopped people that were just cutting through the temple as a shortcut. Right? He wouldn't even let them do that. This is the house of God. You're not going to cut through here. Go around. And he had a whip in his hand. That's zeal. That's an intensity that he has for honoring God and honoring God's house. And that's a good kind of zeal. Zeal can be good, and we should all be zealous for God, passionate for God, intense, have an intensity. Be zealous for pursuing the Lord and the things of the Lord, zealous for defending the things of the Lord, zealous for righteousness, zealously opposed against unrighteousness. Israel had a zeal for God, but their zeal was not according to knowledge. Their zeal did not come through a correct knowledge of God. Their zeal was not in line with the truth. A person can be zealous for what they believe in. A person can be zealous for their cause, but that doesn't mean that their cause is true or that their cause is right or that their cause is good. Just because someone has zeal or strong feelings about something doesn't make it true and doesn't make it right. Again, a person can be zealous, they can be fervent for something that is wrong, something that is false. They have misguided zeal. There are many people in our culture today that are zealous for what they believe in, zealous for their cause, fervent, even militant at times for their cause, for what they believe in, but they're zealous for lies. They're zealous for a lie. They're fanatical about lies. They're fanatical about things that are false. In Proverbs chapter 19, verse 2, it says, "It is dangerous to have zeal without knowledge." Israel was zealous for God, but their zeal did not come from a correct knowledge of God. Over in John's Gospel, John chapter 16, Jesus warns his disciples in John chapter 16, verse 2, and he warns his disciples. He says, "They will put you out of the synagogues. Yes, the time is coming that whoever kills you will think that he offers God service. And these things they will do to you because they have not known the Father nor me." Jesus says there is coming a time where people will be so zealously opposed to the followers of Jesus Christ, so zealously opposed to Christians and Christianity, that they will kill you and think that they are offering God's service. They will think that they are doing what God wants by killing Christians, Jesus said. That's misguided zeal. That's zeal that's based on something that is false. And Paul says here, I bear them witness that they have a zeal for God. Before his conversion, Paul had a zeal for God, but not according to a correct knowledge of God. Before he was converted to Christ, when he was Saul of Tarsus, he was very, very zealous for God, but his zeal was not according to knowledge. He did not have a correct knowledge